The vast expanse of space had always held humanity's fascination, but never before had it felt so immediate, so tangible. As the sleek diplomatic vessel Harmony glided through the star-studded void, Captain Ilara Chen couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and trepidation. This wasn't just another routine mission. This was humanity's first official contact with an alien civilization. The Xerians had made their presence known 6 months ago, their massive ships appearing at the edge of the solar system like shimmering mirages. The initial shock had given way to cautious excitement, and now, after months of delicate negotiations via long-range communications, a face-to-face meeting was finally happening. Ilara stood on the bridge, her dark eyes scanning the various holographic displays surrounding her. The crew worked diligently at their stations, each movement precise and purposeful. They were the best Earth had to offer, a carefully selected team of diplomats, scientists, and military personnel. "Captain," called out Lieutenant Ravi Patel from the sensor station, his voice tight with anticipation. "We're approaching the designated coordinates. Syrian vessels detected on long-range scanners." Ilara nodded, her short black hair barely moving as she turned to face the main view screen. "Bring us out of FTL, Lieutenant. Let's not startle our new friends." The Harmony smoothly decelerated, the blur of stars resolving into pinpricks of light. And there, growing larger with each passing moment, were the Xerian ships. They were unlike anything humans had ever constructed, organic-looking vessels that seemed to pulse with an inner light. Their surface is rippling like the skin of some cosmic leviathan. "Open a channel," Ilara commanded, straightening her uniform. The communication officer complied, and soon the view screen flickered to life, revealing the alien face of the Syrian ambassador. Ambassador Zixara was a sight to behold. Its body was vaguely humanoid, but covered in iridescent scales that shifted color with each movement. Multiple eyes blinked independently across its face, and what might have been a mouth opened to reveal rows of crystalline structures. "Greetings, Captain Chen of Earth," the translator rendered Zixara's melodious tones into crisp English. "We welcome you to this historic meeting between our peoples." Ilara inclined her head respectfully. "Thank you, Ambassador Zixara. We are honored to represent humanity in this momentous occasion. We come in peace and with open minds, eager to learn from one another." The conversation continued, pleasantries exchanged as both sides carefully probed for information. It was going well, almost too well, until a seemingly innocuous question from Zixara sent ripples of tension through the human crew. "We are curious, Captain Chen," the ambassador's translated voice lilted, "about your species' approach to resource allocation. Our scans indicate your world faces numerous environmental challenges. How do you manage your population's needs?" Ilara hesitated, sensing the potential minefield hidden within the question. "We have faced many challenges throughout our history, Ambassador. But through innovation and cooperation, we've made great strides in sustainable living and resource management." Zixara's eyes blinked in an unsettling pattern. "Fascinating. Our records suggest otherwise. We've observed significant disparities in resource distribution among your population. This seems inefficient." The temperature on the bridge seemed to drop several degrees. Ilara fought to keep her expression neutral, even as she felt a prickle of defensiveness. "With respect, Ambassador, human society is complex. While we acknowledge our imperfections, we're constantly striving to improve." Improvement through conflict. Zixara's tone was difficult to read. "Our historical analysis indicates that many of your advancements came as a result of warfare. This is concerning." The diplomatic dance suddenly felt like a high-wire act without a safety net. Ilara chose her words carefully. "Conflict has been a part of our past, yes. But so has cooperation, compassion, and the drive to better ourselves. We've learned from our mistakes and are committed to peaceful coexistence." Zixara's body shimmered, colors rippling across its scales in what might have been skepticism. "We shall see, Captain Chen. We have much to discuss." As the initial meeting concluded and the Harmony docked with the vessel for more in-depth talks, Ilara couldn't shake the feeling that they were being judged, and perhaps found wanting. The diplomatic team, led by the seasoned ambassador Lydia Okoye, prepared to board the alien ship. Ilara pulled Lydia aside just before she left. "Be careful in there," Ilara warned. "I think we may have underestimated the cultural gap. They seem troubled by our history." Lydia nodded, her eyes sharp and focused. "Noted, Captain. We'll tread carefully. But remember, we're not here to apologize for being human. We're here to build a bridge between our species, warts and all." As the airlock cycled and the diplomatic team disappeared into the alien vessel, Ilara returned to the bridge, her mind racing. The next few hours would be crucial, not just for this mission, but potentially for the future of humanity itself. Hours passed, feeling like an eternity. The crew of the Harmony remained at high alert, monitoring every fluctuation in the Syrian ship's energy signatures, every whisper of communication. Ilara paced the bridge, unable to shake the growing sense of unease. Finally, the airlock cycled again. Ambassador Okoye emerged, her face a mask of professional calm, but Ilara could see the tension in her shoulders. "Report," Ilara said quietly as they moved to a private corner of the bridge. Lydia took a deep breath. "It's complicated, Captain. The Xyrians are advanced, there's no doubt about that. But they're also rigid, almost to the point of stagnation. They can't fathom how a species as chaotic as humanity has achieved what we have." Ilara frowned. "Do they see us as a threat?" "Not exactly," Lydia replied, choosing her words carefully. "More like a puzzle they can't solve, and that makes them nervous. They're used to categorizing species, predicting behavior. We don't fit neatly into their boxes." Before Ilara could respond, alarms blared across the bridge. Lieutenant Patel's voice cut through the chaos. "Captain, multiple Xyrian vessels decloaking around us. We're surrounded." Ilara spun towards the viewscreen, her heart pounding. The space around the Harmony was now filled with Xyrian ships, their organic hulls pulsing with barely contained energy. Ambassador Zixara's face appeared on the screen, its eyes whirling in complex patterns. "Captain Chen," the translator rendered its words with an ominous finality. "After careful consideration, we have determined that unrestricted contact between our civilizations would be unwise." "What are you saying, Ambassador?" Ilara demanded, fighting to keep her voice steady. "Your species is unpredictable, potentially dangerous," Zixara continued. "For the safety of the galaxy, we must insist on oversight. You will be escorted back to your solar system, where a quarantine field will be established. For your own protection, of course." The bridge erupted in a flurry of activity as the crew reacted to the sudden threat. Ilara's mind raced, searching for a way out of this diplomatic nightmare. They were outgunned, outmaneuvered, and out of options. Or were they? A plan began to form in Ilara's mind, born of desperation and that uniquely human blend of ingenuity and audacity. It was risky, potentially disastrous, but it was all they had. "Ambassador Zixara," Ilara said, injecting her voice with a confidence she didn't entirely feel. "Before you take any drastic action, I have a proposal. A challenge, if you will, to prove humanity's worth." The alien's eyes fixed on her with unnerving intensity. "Speak, Captain Chen. We are curious." Ilara took a deep breath, knowing that the fate of Earth might hinge on her next words. "You've judged us based on our past and your preconceptions. I propose a series of tests, challenges that will demonstrate not just our technological capabilities, but our adaptability, our creativity, and our spirit." She could feel the eyes of her crew upon her, a mixture of hope and fear radiating from them. "If we succeed," Ilara continued, "you agree to open diplomatic relations as equals. If we fail, we'll accept your quarantine without resistance." Silence stretched across the bridge as they waited for the Syrian response. Zixara's scales rippled with rapidly changing colors, its crystalline mouth structures clicking softly. Finally, the ambassador spoke. "Your proposal is unexpected, Captain Chen. Perhaps you are proving our point about your species' unpredictability." There was a pause, heavy with tension. "However, we find ourselves intrigued. We will consider your challenge." As the view screen went dark, Elara let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. She turned to face her crew, seeing a mix of emotions playing across their faces: fear, excitement, determination. "Well," she said, managing a small smile, "it looks like we've bought ourselves some time. Now we just have to prove that humanity deserves its place among the stars." The crew of the Harmony steeled themselves for the trials ahead, knowing that the future of Earth hung in the balance. Whatever challenges that Syrians devised, they would face them with all the courage, creativity, and sheer stubborn determination that had carried humanity from its first tentative steps on the African savanna to the vast reaches of space. The game was on, and humanity was playing for keeps. Jagged mountains of obsidian-like rock pierced the sky, their peaks disappearing into swirling, acidic mists. Vast plains of what appeared to be metallic sounds stretched to the horizon, occasionally disrupted by geysers of superheated steam. The sky itself was a turbulent maelstrom of purples and greens, flashing with electrical discharges that dwarfed any lightning Earth had ever seen. "My God," whispered Dr. Adeline Emerson, the team's lead xenobiologist. "It's like someone took all of Earth's most extreme environments and cranked them up to 11. Elara nodded grimly. "And somewhere down there, we need to build a home." The shuttle's sensors screamed warnings as they navigated through the planet's chaotic atmosphere. Chief Engineer Dmitry Volkov's hands flew over the controls, his bushy eyebrows furrowed in concentration. "Captain," he called out, his thick Russian accent tinged with urgency, "we're picking up a relatively stable area about 20 kilometers east. It might be our best shot for a landing zone." "Take us in," Dmitry, Elara ordered. "Nice and easy." The shuttle banked, heading towards what appeared to be a plateau of sorts amidst the jagged landscape. As they approached, however, a new challenge presented itself. The stable area was actually a thin crust of cooled lava, floating atop a sea of molten rock. "We can't land here," Adeline exclaimed, her eyes wide with alarm. That crust could break apart at any moment. Elara's mind raced, weighing their rapidly dwindling options. Then an idea struck her. Crazy, possibly suicidal, but just maybe crazy enough to work. "Dmitry, those grappling harpoons we brought for securing equipment, can we fire them from the shuttle?" The engineer's eyes lit up with understanding. "Duh, Captain. You're thinking of anchoring us to the surrounding rock faces." Elara nodded. "Exactly. We'll create a web of high-tension cables and suspend our base above the lava field. It's not ideal, but it beats sinking into molten rock." The next few hours were a frenzy of activity. With pinpoint precision, Glittery fired the grappling harpoons into the solid rock formations surrounding the lava plain. Slowly, carefully, they lowered the prefabricated base modules from the shuttle, suspending them in an intricate web of ultra-strong cables. It was nerve-wracking work. More than once, a sudden gust of wind or a tremor from below threatened to send the entire operation crashing down. But the team persevered, each member pushing themselves to their limits and beyond. As the final module clicked into place, a ragged cheer went up from the exhausted crew. They had done it. Against all odds, they had established a foothold on this hellish world. But their celebration was short-lived. No sooner had they pressurized the base than the first crisis struck. Alarms blared as caustic gases began seeping through microscopic imperfections in the base's outer hull, invisible flaws created by the planet's extreme conditions. "The atmospheric composition is corroding our protective layers faster than we anticipated," Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the team's materials scientist, reported grimly. "At this rate, we'll lose structural integrity within hours." Elara felt a moment of despair threatening to overwhelm her. They had come so far, only to be undone by the very air around them. But then she saw something that rekindled her hope. Her team wasn't giving up. They were already brainstorming, throwing out ideas, refusing to accept defeat. It was Dr. Emerson who provided the breakthrough. "The metallic sound we saw during our descent," she said, her eyes shining with excitement. "If it's what I think it is, we might be able to use it to create a reactive barrier, something that will continually renew itself as it's corroded." "But how do we harvest it?" Vitri asked. "We can't exactly open the doors and go for a stroll." Ilara smiled, an idea forming. "We don't have to. Dmitri, can you reconfigure our atmospheric filters to draw in larger particulates?" The engineer's face lit up with understanding. "A reverse sandstorm. We pull in the sound, process it here, and apply it to our hull." "Brilliant, Captain." The next few hours were a race against time. As the base's integrity slowly deteriorated, the team worked feverishly to implement their plan. Dmitri and his engineers reconfigured the life support systems, while Dr. Tanaka and Dr. Emerson worked to develop a process for turning the metallic sand into a self-repairing coating. It was a Herculean effort, pushing the limits of human ingenuity and endurance. But slowly, steadily, they began to turn the tide. As the new coating was applied, the rate of corrosion slowed, then stopped altogether. As the immediate crisis passed, Ilara allowed herself a moment of pride. Her team had faced an impossible situation and found a way through. They had taken the deadly environment of Nexus Prime and turned it into their salvation. But their trials were far from over. As if sensing their small victory, the planet itself seemed to rally against them. The winds outside intensified, howling like banshees as they buffeted the suspended base. The lava sea below churned and bubbled, occasionally sending gouts of molten rock high into the air. "Captain," called out Sofia Rodriguez, the team's geologist, her voice tight with concern. "I'm detecting increased seismic activity. I think the planet's entering some sort of cyclical upheaval." As if to punctuate her words, a violent tremor shook the base. The cables creaked ominously, stretched to their limits by the sudden movement. Ilara steadied herself against a console, her mind already racing to the next challenge. "All right, people," she called out, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Looks like Nexus Prime isn't done with us yet. Let's show this planet what humans can do." As the team rallied once more, facing this new threat with grim determination, Ilara couldn't help but wonder, were the Xerians watching? And if so, what do they make of humanity's resilience in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds? Little did she know, aboard the alien vessels orbiting high above, that Xerians were indeed watching. And they were beginning to realize that perhaps they had underestimated these strange, unpredictable humans after all. The real test was only just beginning, and humanity was about to show the galaxy exactly what it was made of. As the human outpost on Nexus Prime fought against the planet's increasingly volatile conditions, a startling discovery changed everything. Dr. Emerson, while analyzing soil samples, stumbled upon microscopic organisms that seemed to thrive in the hostile environment. "Captain Chen, you need to see this," she called, excitement evident in her voice. "These microbes, they're not just surviving, they're terraforming." Ilara leaned in, studying the holographic display. "Terraforming, you mean?" "Yes," Emerson nodded. "They're slowly changing the planet's composition. But there's more. Their genetic structure, it's familiar." Further analysis revealed a shocking truth. These microbes shared similarities with Earth's extremophiles. The implications were staggering. Life from Earth had somehow reached Nexus Prime long ago. As the team grappled with this revelation, a transmission from the Xerian ships interrupted their discussions. Ambassador Zixara's face appeared, its eyes whirling in complex patterns. "Captain Chen," the alien's voice resonated. "Our sensors have detected anomalous activity on the planet's surface. Explain." Ilara took a deep breath, deciding on honesty. She explained their discovery, watching as the ambassador's colors shifted rapidly. This complicates matters, Zixara finally said. We must convene to discuss the implications. As the transmission ended, Ilara turned to her team. This changes everything. We're not just fighting for humanity's place in the stars anymore. We might have just stumbled upon the key to understanding life's spread across the galaxy. With renewed purpose, the human team worked to unravel the mystery of Nexus Prime's microbes, all while battling the planet's harsh conditions. Their ingenuity was put to the test as they developed new technologies to harness the terraforming power of the organisms. Meanwhile, aboard the Syrian ships, heated debates raged. The discovery challenged their preconceptions about humanity and the nature of life itself. As they watched the humans adapt and innovate in real time, many Syrians began to see their primitive neighbors in a new light. The stage was set for a paradigm shift in intergalactic relations, with humanity at its center. The true test was yet to come, but Earth's representatives had already proven they were more than up to the challenge. Distinguished delegates, she began, her voice carrying clearly through the hall. 1 year ago, we stood on the brink of conflict, our differences seemingly insurmountable. Today we gather as partners, as friends, united in our quest for knowledge and understanding. She gestured to the large viewport behind her, where the swirling colors of Nexus Prime's atmosphere painted a breathtaking backdrop. Nexus Prime stands as a symbol of what we can achieve together. What began as a test of humanity's worth has become the cornerstone of a new galactic alliance. The Nexus Accord, which we signed today, is more than just a treaty. It's a promise to face the challenges of our vast universe, not as separate species, but as a united front. Ilara paused, her gaze sweeping the room once more. We've learned that our strength lies not in our individual capabilities, but in our ability to come together, to combine our unique perspectives and skills. Humanity's adaptability, the Xerians' technological prowess, the wisdom of the Arcturian sages, the ecological intuition of the Verdani. Each of us brings something vital to this alliance. She smiled, a glimmer of excitement in her eyes. As we look to the stars, we do so not with fear or suspicion, but with hope and curiosity. There are wonders out there waiting to be discovered, challenges yet to be faced, and we will meet them together. As Ilara stepped back from the podium, the hall erupted in applause, a cacophony of sounds from dozens of species, all united in their enthusiasm for the future. Later, as the formal ceremonies concluded, Ilara found herself standing at the viewport, gazing out at Nexus Prime. Ambassador Zixara glided up beside her, its colors shifting in patterns she had come to recognize as contentment. "You have done well, Captain Chen," the Xerian said, its translated voice warm. "Your species has proven itself many times over." Ilara smiled, shaking her head slightly. "We all did this, Ambassador. Humans, Syrians, and every species that's joined the Accord. This is just the beginning." As they stood there, watching the swirling colors of Nexus Prime, both felt a sense of anticipation. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries and marvels yet to be discovered. And now, thanks to the bridges they had built, they would explore it together. The future, it seemed, was bright indeed.